Welcome, heels and baby faces, to RAWb's War, the podcast with the most attitude, where we will be talking about anything and everything wrestling, and not just WWE. I'm your host, Rob.
I am the Murph. We're going to talk about AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, MLW, anything that's wrestling related.
Nothing will be left on the table, and everything will be digested raw. On this
Yeah.
episode, I really didn't have I didn't really have a way to. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I didn't have like a certain script. I didn't know what we were gonna do with this first episode.
Pretty
To be
much
honest,
what you see is what you get. It's raw.
what you see is what
Is
you
what you
get.
get.
Yes, and exactly is that. Do you remember a time out when like wrestling was ever perfect? That's the idea about what I'm gonna say about this first episode
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
talking to
wrestling's
you
life.
about talking to you about where we came from. How
Yeah.
did we get into wrestling? Why do we love what we love? Because there's a lot of people out there, especially in today's world. Like I don't know, I've always found it weird that people don't like. To me, like wrestling is popular, but like it's still in a way like underrated.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know. I don't think people understand the idea of wrestling.
No,
You
they
know,
don't. Because
they think
wrestling,
they
I mean, it's scripted, but like, I for one have taken bumps in the ring. I felt the duck. I felt the duck. Felt a duck in my head, and my head hit the ring. That wasn't pleasant. It hurt like hell. My head was hurting like straight up 3 weeks straight. It's not fun. So when you hit the ring, it is painful. It
yeah,
stings.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying right there. People like to think that the whole term that wrestling is fake
Yeah.
and all this stuff, and
The way you
like we
see
got
it's
to
so hard. Like movies are fake. Wrestling's more real than movies because movies you get 100 takes to get something right. Fucking wrestling, what you see is what you get. It's live. If if you screw up, there's no cut and try it again. You know what I mean?
and
It's live.
and with you
It's like
saying
a
that,
live
like,
TV show.
well, that's what I'm trying to say. And with you saying that, that's exactly the reason why I love wrestling.
Yeah.
Is because like it's almost like metal, which is something that both of us love. Which I can see you're wearing an Iron Maiden shirt there.
One of
Uh,
one of my favorite bands.
well, and not only that, but like going back to like the idea of wrestling is, it has characters, and they go by episodes, they go by seasons on TV and all that stuff too. you
Yeah.
know uh you know Even though, like you said, it's scripted in a certain way, but it's still unscripted as well, because like there's no cuts, there's no action. It's live, and like what you
Yeah.
said, what you see is what you
Is what
get,
you
and you're going to
get.
be hearing that a lot here on this podcast.
Yeah. It's like, see, wrestling and music go well because I got a band called Volton. We did a 10th year anniversary show a couple of weeks ago. That was like, think of it as like a pay per view.
That would have been your pay-per-view, exactly
Yeah.
that. A lot of people don't understand the idea of like when we don't like the term wrestling is fake, obviously, because
Yeah.
there's an idea where like we understand it's almost like comics and, like you said, movies and even music, and that's why metal is a big
Yeah.
thing, because like with metal you can explore all kinds of fantasy stuff,
Oh, yeah.
and that's exactly what wrestling does. That's exactly what
Explore folk and all that shit. Explore,
yeah.
like, branches
and
out.
like and like not only that, going back to when we were saying like we're gonna talk about like how anything and everything wrestling with that term,
Yeah.
right? If you want some serious wrestling that doesn't really have so much of the fantasy, or not so much the fantasy, but more like the character of it all, I would suggest something like New Japan.
Yes.
Because
Because what I
New
like about
Japan
New Japan Pro Wrestling is that they tell the story in the ring. The drama is in the ring. You know what I mean? Uh, you get like 15, 20 minute worth of a long match, and they tell your story inside the ring. Like they don't need a cut promos; they do it inside the ring during like their matches. That's what I
Yeah.
like about New Japan.
Well, not
They
only
take it
that,
more
but like
seriously.
they treat it like if you're watching like a football
Sport.
game,
Yeah.
or like, yeah,
At the
like an
end of
actual
each show,
combat
they
sport.
do like interviews backstage. That's what I like. It's like a sport.
What those I think they're called the term is post scrim interviews or something like that, where
Yeah.
they AEW is doing it. AEW, that's another thing about AEW is what I'm liking is what you're gonna know about us. And don't get me wrong, I'm not fucking kissing ass to AEW as well too, or anything like that. It's just
We love
like you
everything
said,
wrestling.
we love anything and anything wrestling, and we're not here also to like talk dirty on like WWE
WWE.
and stuff like that too, But I mean, like with fame and fortune, and with having that much success, obviously there's going to be that tyranny, and there's going to be that
Yeah.
sometimes
It's
that
like
evilness and all that
it's
stuff.
like
So
say what you want about Vince. I mean, right now he's lost it. Crazy old man. But I love Vince McMahon because if you really think about it, if it wasn't for Vince McMahon, wrestling probably wouldn't be what it is today.
well, I mean, yes, and not only that, like I love the idea of like he came from a how do you say
Wrestling
he never
family.
he did, but like what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that when he was raised, he didn't even know his father yet,
Yeah.
and like he lived in a trailer, and I can relate to that because I'm a trailer park boy, and
I
I've
used
been
to live
there.
in a trailer back in the days.
Yeah,
The one that we
and
did.
and to take it from that to like owning, this, like I think he knew what I know he, and I hear it a lot too. Like he's burned a lot of bridges too. I know with the
Yeah.
whole territory thing. He tried to monopolize wrestling basically, and tried to make it this corporate empire. And you can argue the fact that WWE is almost like it's the Hollywood of wrestling,
Yeah.
because I mean we can I mean that could be an episode itself. The fact that I mean, look at how many wrestlers out of there have done TV shows and movies and you name it.
Mhm.
Do you
A
know
lot of
any
them.
other? Do you know any other promotion that has kind of done that? I mean, I mean, New Japan has done that because we got the
Yeah.
animes and all the stuff, which I know you've been playing Yakuza,
Yeah, they've
and
been on games like Yakuza 6, Tanahashi, Okada, and like Naito and some others appeared on Yakuza 6 as like the wrestling characters. It was cool.
yeah,
Yeah, that was real good. Cool.
yeah, and of course, uh, I mean, like, and then, like I said, there's just man, dude, there's just so much wrestling out there.
Yeah. You
There's a
just gotta
lot.
know where to look.
Even the ones that were even the ones that were saying, uh, yeah,
You just gotta know where to look. People that say that wrestling's not good probably talking about the WWE, but you just gotta know where to look. There's still wrestling out there.
yeah,
The
and like,
the the Indies is still pretty good.
yeah, and but that's what I'm saying. And like I said, like there's so much wrestling out there. Like the ones we're mentioning here, are like not even half of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you still got like like AAA, Mexico. You got
Mhm.
territories that are still in Germany. Like, there's just territories all across the country,
Oh
in
yeah.
every city, for all we know, in every state.
Oh yeah.
There's tons.
Just
But
gotta know.
yeah, and that's the thing. So like, here's a question I would like talking about. You know, about this episode being about um, where we come from,
Yeah.
and how we got into wrestling and why we got into wrestling. We kind of explained why we got into wrestling because we know, like I said, it's movies, it's TV shows, it's comics, it's anything you want,
Yeah.
any genre, right? Name it, comedy, horror, sci-fi.
So I
Uh,
have a character to it.
it has everything. It has everything you want, all wrapped into one.
Yeah.
Battling out in the ring, gladiator style. uh, just basically goodbye, Bouch, good guy, bad guy thing
Botched.
going out. Damn you, Al. And you're the one with the spiked coffee.
Hey, don't hate.
Whoa, whoa! You see that? It's not too much. Alcoholic Al over here.
Yeah.
he,
Woo.
he likes
But
his
yeah,
coffee.
like
He likes his music and his soul. Black
black metal.
metal.
But yeah, I started watching wrestling. I remember when I was a kid, maybe 95 or 97. Yeah, my best friend Robbie, who's actually my guitarist, stayed in my band Votan. He was showing me Luger versus Yokozuna from I think it was '94. He had it on like a VHS, and he showed me that we were playing the games. Mania 2000, we played that. I didn't really start getting glued to it till sometime in '98. I remember watching bits and pieces from the Undertaker and Kane storyline in '98. I remember after WrestleMania, I really started getting glued to it around the time Austin and Do Love
Well, I mean,
battling
and
for the
that's
world
funny too.
title.
That's funny too, and I think that's a cool fact that you brought up that you remember Luger versus Yoko, and you pinpointed to that match. So that match was officially the match that got you into it.
Yeah.
That was the official match that you're talking about, Robbie, when you've officially entered the Rob zone.
Yeah. Which y'all will find out what it means probably in a few episodes.
Who is Robbie? Will
Y'all
we
will
ever
meet him
enter the Rob
eventually.
zone? You won't know. And
Yeah.
that's funny. Talking about the Rob Zone and talking about the Rob is War thing, and going back to 1998. I think, like I said, it's funny because you said, uh, you got into it with Yoko versus Luger.
Lex Luger.
Me, I don't necessarily have a recollection of the like the first match I saw. You know, I remember. I just remember being 9 years old and living with my grandmother. And she was, it was a Christian household, so like it was kind of like it was forbidden. Hence the forbidden door.
Yeah.
It was forbidden in a way, but I bit that fruit of knowledge, and yeah. So I remember because she would watch stuff like Walker Texas Ranger and stuff like that. Ten Commandments and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
and going back to the movies and all that stuff. That's still characters. That's still, it's still all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I just remember just turning on the TV. I think to like just TNT and just being like, "Oh, what the hell is this?" Like I just remember WCW Monday Nitro. I remember that for sure.
The mall. When no, yeah,
So
right. The mall when they did an episode in the mall. I think it was the first episode of Nitro.
that's what I'm saying. So the episode in the mall was '95.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. I know I started watching wrestling around there, around 95, 98. That era.
Yeah.
And that's where the whole idea of Rob is War comes from, as the attitude and the rawness of it, and just
Yeah.
how booming wrestling was back then. Like it literally was just as crazy as the movies and just as
Oh
crazy
yeah.
as celebrities. Like it was so big then that I even remember watching that as a kid, and that's how I got into the stuff. That's what I'm saying. Like any during that era, which was sorry, Al, if I'm being a heel here,
No,
or
you're good.
what I am here, but or the devil's advocate here. I'm sorry, but that era right there, up until like the 2000s and stuff, is the best era ever. You know,
Oh yeah.
from the 80s to the 2000s, can't beat that. You know,
Yeah. Speaking of the '80s, my grandfather, who is actually 93 years old, still kicking. he got a satellite in like our backyard, the same house I'm in now. He got a satellite to watch her to watch Hulk Hogan versus
But
Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3.
speaking of that satellite, don't you have a picture there?
I can show it to you right now. Unfortunately, I don't got it before, but I got it after.
Yes, and that was original,
That satellite
and that to me,
was used for WrestleMania 3, Hogan versus Andre.
and come on, and that to me, heels and baby faces is that's way before the WWE network. I mean,
Yeah.
that's way before streaming services and this
My
Peacock.
grandfather is a big wrestling fan, and he got that satellite to watch to watch that pay per view. Unfortunately, the government got onto him, and he had to take it down because he was getting shout outs from like uh, their countries and shit.
But that just shows
uh,
you that he went to lengths like that
yeah, just to
to watch
watch
it,
it.
just to watch it. It
Yeah,
also just shows you how big, like I was saying, going back to how huge wrestling was. You
yeah,
know, it was booming. It really was. Like I
oh
said,
yeah.
I remember watching as a kid. What's that show that Hulk Hogan had with that boat?
I don't remember.
Uh, Thunder in Paradise. It was called Thunder in Paradise. You never seen this, Al?
I don't think so.
You never seen Thunder in Paradise? Oh my gosh!
No.
And you're an '80s, '90s kid. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Well, lucky for you, Al. Rob knows all.
You think you know
And
all.
and since then, I remember watching a couple of episodes on there. I think it was again going back to my grandmother being like a Christian household, so she usually watched stuff like TBN and like CBS. Like some ABC. Remember when ABC had like Steve Urkel and all that stuff?
Yeah.
The TGI Friday stuff and
Family Matters.
she was just trying to go into more of the when before we had this whole freeform thing and it was the Family Channel and so she was just watching stuff that was just like that was more family friendly oriented.
Yeah.
What's it called? The Nancy or Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, House on the Prairie.
I
You
know
know,
that one. My aunt used to watch that show a lot. House of the A Little House on the Prairie.
yeah, yeah, but that's what I'm talking about, and maybe that's also the reason why I love the Wyatts.
Yeah.
They have this whole swamp thing going on,
Yeah, that was
hillbilly-ish
awesome.
type of stuff going on. But yeah, to me, it started with Monday Nitro for sure. Um, I do remember watching it as a kid when I that was pre NWO. So I remember. So I do remember when I do remember Scott Hall coming out of the crowd,
Yeah, that was
and
a
as a little
shocker for everybody.
and
Like,
as
what
a little
is
kid.
he doing there?
And then with that being said, that whole little thing with Scott Hall coming out of the crowd, it kind of reminds me of Moxley coming out of the
Yeah,
crowd when they first introduced him on AEW. Like,
yeah.
see, so like that's also why again, don't freaking I know freaking now is gonna rib me on this, and y'all gonna rib me on this for loving AEW that much, but
Hey,
you
it's
know,
actually pretty good. I enjoy
it,
it.
there's some parallels there
There's callbacks.
to WCW. Oh, it's in this podcast too, but there's parallels from AEW and WCW is what I'm saying. Is the reason why I think I love it still now because it
Yeah,
reminds me of my childhood of WCW. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Uh, but but I know also a lot of people are saying that it's gonna fail because they're using the typical WCW model or whatever the hell, and I'm like, no, you're not, because if you look at the champions that are right now, they're all AEW wrestlers and they're not ex WWE or whatever you want to say.
yeah.
If you
I
think
don't
about it.
like people saying, "Oh, they're hiring next to WWE." If you think about it, everyone comes from somewhere. That's like me right now. I work at Stripes. I used to work at Taco Bell. That's like saying I am an ex Taco Bell guy. but really all they're doing is getting another job.
That's like and bringing that up because if you want to go there, right? If we're gonna go there, like say, if you want to be technical, since again this is anything and everything wrestling, and Rob knows Al, and Al knows a little when he spiked. Uh, uh, what I'm saying is that if you want to be technical, like the Lucha Brothers, who are AEW Tag Team Champions, then they're ex MLW wrestlers. They're ex
Yep.
PCW wrestlers. They're ex Lucha Underground wrestlers. I mean, so this whole
Yeah.
ex WWE thing, it's like what you said though, Al. It's like when a band signs to a major label. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's so this wrestler, those wrestlers that came from WWE just signed to a major promotion, which is a major record label, and
Yeah.
that's how they got their name.
It's like with Iron Maiden. Bruce Dickinson left the band to do his side project. Ex Iron Maiden guy. Blake Bailey, when he left Iron Maiden, he did his side project. Ex Iron Maiden guy.
Yeah,
Music does the same thing.
yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And then like that, and then going back to like where we come from is like, metal and wrestling for me always has it's just been back to back. I mean, like
Yeah.
when I was a kid, growing up to like that stuff, uh, growing up to like the WCW, and also speaking of that, though, that may be if that is a future episode that y'all would be interested in, because like I said, we would love to hear your reactions. We would love
Yeah.
to hear your feedback. Tell us what we need to do here to
Yeah.
make this show going.
Legit. Yeah.
Like I said, I'm thinking about us having segments like Retro Rob and Rob's reviews and Rob's reactions and Random Rob, and I can go on and on.
Yeah, you
uh,
can.
but so yeah, give us a feedback and let us know how we can make this better. But with that being said, like I said, I'm thinking about we should do. Of course, we're obviously going to do a future episode. That's a future episode entirely on its own about,
Yeah.
metal and the music and everything, the theme songs and all that stuff going hand in hand with with the characters of wrestling and all that stuff. The storytelling and all that stuff.
Yeah.
In order for people to understand wrestling as well, like we do, because like I said, the whole idea to this episode is where we come from. We're not just talking out of our asses, and we weren't just wrestling fans overnight. Like this is years and years of us being
Oh
wrestling
yeah.
fans. You know, but not only that, going back to that, what I was saying is that I mean characters like freaking like Raven. You know, Raven was on the first time I saw Raven, right, on WCW, and it was the Ravens flock, which is I'm gonna argue, and we'll probably have like a whole top 10 segment about stuff like this too. We can have top 10 moves, top 10 signatures, top 10 finishers, highlight reels,
Top
highlight of the
10
night,
groups.
whatever you want, guys. We're gonna do
Yeah.
it. To make this interesting, because like I said, since it's anything and everything wrestling, we might have to maybe break them down into segments. Who knows? And we'll probably have just like a whole episode of random Rob stuff, you know. And maybe one day, like I said, you will go into the forbidden door, which we like to know as the Rob Zone, and all that
All
other
gonna happen.
shit. But I'm just saying, like someone like Raven, like I remember him coming in and he was wearing a Nevermore shirt, and to me, I thought it was I thought it was part of his merchandise because he was always saying, quote the Raven, Nevermore.
Nevermore.
And so, like, I just figured, like, he was always wearing these Nevermore shirts, and he would always wear this other shirt that said Sandman on it. And
Wednesday, he got that catchphrase from Allan Poe. That's
but
what
that's
his
what I'm saying.
character is based off
That's what I'm
of.
saying. Going back to characters and all that stuff. But not only that, if we want to get more into detail of stuff like that, since Rock knows how, DDP was the guy that made him that said, "Hey, back in those '90s and all that stuff, going back to the music stuff and the related stuff, going back to the '90s and all that stuff, like Nirvana and all that stuff was popular right? Grunge was making its way in, and so like when the way Raven started off is like he had all these light colors and all the, I don't know, like I don't know if I remember him being on WWF at one time, uh, and he had all these weird light colors. You know, he wasn't the Raven we know now.
Yeah.
So it was DDP's idea, I guess, saying like, "Hey, you need to keep within the
He
times,
didn't
and
start
this is
getting
what's
in.
happening."
He didn't start getting into that Raven character till he went to ECW.
Oh, okay.
I want to say '94 when he feuded with Tommy Dreamer.
I mean, you see how, and this is why you're the drunken master. You know, I mean, look, I mean, I can't. My way my brain's all scrambled up and everything, and the way everything is, and it's so random in there that, uh, like, you're good about um you're good about like the historic, like pinpointing certain little things in those eras, you know, because I know also, because I'm just going to give you a little tease into the Rob Zone Forbidden Door. uh you and this guy Robbie, who showed you and introduced you into wrestling, y'all also have days and or where y'all bro down and y'all go back and watch this stuff, right?
Yeah, wow. He actually started, which he'll probably explain it later. He started from like on the WWE network from I think late '70s, like early '80s. Me, I started in '95. I started going back. Started with the first Nitro in '95 and kept it going. Right now, I'm on '98. I want to say ECW after the Unforgiven pay per view. I want to believe. I want to say I haven't watched it in like a minute, so I need to really get back into that and really get my mind straight back into that.
Well, I mean, then that's what I'm saying, and it's good to know because like you're gonna be, what the Murphy here is gonna be doing on the podcast is also like I don't want people to also think that this is just all about Rob and all this stuff, and the Rob knows
Yeah.
all thing is just all obviously a joke when I don't really know shit, and the actual guy that knows it all is sitting right there. And even though even though he's probably not sober half of the damn time, but I guess he needs his fuel in order to understand that where this to enhance this knowledge.
Yeah, I've been actually learning quite a bit. Like even the big gold belt from WCW was once the NWA title, and Flair took it to the WWF. I want to say I believe because WCW owed Flair money, so Flair took it to the WWF. So WCW had to create their own world title, and I want to say Rick Rude held it, and then if you, then eventually Flair and WCW worked out their fucking bullshit, and they got their world title back, and then they combined it, which is the big go belt we saw like later on.
And that's also the reasons why I also going back to why I love wrestling, right? Is because like stories like that, like the behind the scenes stuff. Like I know, in the wrestling terms, we're supposed to keep a kayfabe, and that's what
Kayfabe.
we're trying to do. Blur the
Yeah,
lines between what's real and what's fake, and that's the a magician like Chris Angel and like David
yeah.
and like Houdini, basically. That's what wrestling is.
Like
Uh,
when Alundra Blaze, which is Medusa, had went to WCW, threw the title into the trash can. That was legit.
That
Fucking
was
Eric
legit.
Bischoff.
And it's funny too. My first introduction as to Alundra Blaze is by Medusa. So like I said, So you over there, obviously being, and that's the irony of this thing, right? Because I'm supposed
Yeah.
to be the attitude kid, Rob is Warner, the WCW kid, and we got the attitude kid over there. Uh, but what I'm trying to say is also that I was introduced into Medusa. That's who I knew. But little did I know, obviously, as I grew older and exploring more and discovering more, that she was a legend already in her own right as a Luncher Blaze in
Yeah.
WWF at the time. Obviously we got the F out.
A lot of people don't know this, but Alundra Blaze on WWF Raw, and I want to say 1995. I want to say she fought Bertha. I think that was her name. They were the first ones to main event Raw. It was the last match on Monday Night Raw. Granted, the last thing of that episode was a Shawn Michaels promo, but that was the last match on Raw.
Right,
People say Trish and Lita is the first women to main event Raw. Tech, tech, Technically, it was Alundra Blaze because that was the last match on Raw in '95.
right. Interesting. Yeah, but and I'm gonna excuse me here. That's why I lost train of thought. I'm gonna see. This is the irony of Rob not knowing all that. I'm gonna have to go and research this stuff. So, but since we're keeping it K-pop, Rob knows all.
You know, Rob, I have a question since we're talking about rawness and unscripted stuff.
Yeah,
What's your thoughts on the Montreal Screwjob?
I mean, and then going back to the idea of like the idea of like K-pop, right?
Because
And
we're gonna throw everything
oh,
out.
man, I mean, yeah, man, and that's what also blows my mind is the what I was just telling you about the whole magician thing about it and the whole K-pop thing about it, like blurring the lines between real and fake, and obviously everybody within that says no, it was actually legit. It was a legit thing. This actually
It
went down.
was because I
Uh,
wanted.
because also, how could even if it was right? Let's just say it was scripted. Like, man, that's a pretty good writing if they did.
They
If that
just made
was all,
it
like, come
into a
on,
storyline.
yeah, and that's what I loved
That,
about it back
that's the
then.
thing I actually like about Vince. He takes personal shit, makes it into a storyline. Like Matt Hardy and Edge, they legit had beef because of
Well,
Lita, and
yeah,
Vince
but
turned that shit into a storyline.
well, that's true though. But also sometimes he also got also at that same time. I don't know if he's respecting if he's
Yeah.
respecting the wrestler's personal space. I mean, because sure, that's all cool and everything, but would that have been cool like in today's world with this whole cancel culture thing and all that stuff?
Probably not. It's like the
You
Shawn
know,
Michaels and Bret Hart. They hated each other's guts.
and what not
Well,
only
back
that,
in the day.
and then also the controversies between like Shawn Michaels and Sonny,
Hmm.
and the way we all know how Sonny got around with all them.
Yeah. Who do you think
She got
was more at fault during the Montreal Screwjob, Bret or Vince?
at fault. I would
Yeah.
geez, man, I would think obviously Vince, man.
The way I
I
see
mean,
it, you do
because
what your boss tells you, but also Vince shouldn't have done that.
no, but here's the thing though. Here's the thing though. Like um, I mean, geez, I mean, Brett said it himself. He didn't have how do you say, like, he didn't have a problem losing to Sean. In fact, he was gonna do it. He was gonna do the job.
Yeah.
It's just the
It's
fact
just
that the way,
Shawn Michaels dis disrespected him.
yeah, pretty much in the locker room, or the way he came out to him and
Yeah.
said, like, I'm gonna, I don't know, he just disrespected him, and that's not how you
Yeah.
do things, you know.
Yeah.
You don't come in there and start disrespecting the vet, the person that already put miles and built something there.
Exactly.
You just don't do that. And that's the thing, and that's funny because I mean we can also talk about wrestling conspiracies on here too, and like I also like to think that's also why Sean maybe is also a Christian now and stuff because of all the bad crap
Yeah.
he did.
Shawn Michaels was a piece of shit back in the day.
I mean, yeah, to be real, and he will tell you that himself.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a lot of conspiracy stuff that happened in the world of wrestling back in the day.
yeah.
And
There's yeah, and that obviously that could be an entire episode on its own. We don't want to go
yeah,
there just
yeah,
yet. But like what I'm saying is that going back to your Montreal screw job thing, like I just think that I mean I'm glad that they like reconciled everything, and I'm glad
yeah.
that that happened. But yeah, man.
Happened
Sorry
for
about
a
that.
reason. That's all right.
Yeah, it happened. It happened for a reason, and I mean, but like yeah, and then but then you also have this whole paradigm shift thing. And then, like, if we're looking at the WWE universe, and like, and we could also do episodes like that since we're big comic fans, and everyone knows I'm a big Batman fan, and he's the true baby face of this thing, and Superman fucking sucks. He said it, and he's the true heel of this thing. You can go to hell, Al.
Superman's the heel of like it all.
But now going back to the what if thing is like, I mean, what if that didn't happen? Would we have
Yeah.
gotten heel Vince, and would we have gotten Stone Cold? Would we have gotten all that
I
stuff?
want to say the Montreal Screwjob was kind of the start of the McMahon character in a way.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, but also like I was saying, if we didn't have the Montreal screw job, we probably wouldn't have the stuff that was happening in '98, which is the
Yeah,
Attitude Era and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if we would have. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know. Like I also like I understand it was a personal thing maybe also at the same time, but also if you're looking at it this way, where like he's like, damn, like WCW could end up beating us and all this other stuff. Like, what if he was also
yeah,
desperate to be like, you know what? Let's put the Montreal Screwjob as a story thing, and you know what? I'm coming out and saying I'm the boss, and
yeah.
like, what if he thought about all this stuff? Like, how is he going to turn this around? Because you have to think about it from a business perspective as well.
I know in '95, uh, Big Daddy Cool Diesel, aka Kevin Nash, actually called out Vincent McMahon on TV when Vince was doing commentary, calling him the boss and shit. So
Uh-huh.
Nash called him out being the boss, the owner and shit at one point. I know early '97, Bret
Because
Hart pretty much got it, Vince and Bret got into it on live TV. I don't know if that was scripted or what. You know what I mean? It's kind of
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. That's what I'm saying. That's what I
yeah,
love about wrestling. And I know somebody like Al Snow, who back in the day, if we're gonna go, because like I said, that could be another episode itself about factions and everything. And one of my favorite underrated factions was the Job Squad. And like, but someone like Al Snow was also like super smart about the things he said. He also said about how it's never about wins and losses; it's about the story. You know, and
hmm
and a good example about the wins and losses thing is, for example, CM Punk versus Darby Allin, right?
yeah.
Although CM Punk, although CM Punk did win, did he really win?
They put
You know what I
Darby
mean?
Allin over.
It put Darby Allin over and make Darby Allin now a bona fide AEW like legend. Like these
Yeah,
are the things that you can now say he's like now a future Hall of Famer because of stuff like this.
yeah. Sometimes
Uh,
losing actually helps.
and we'll probably that'll be another section in our thing where we'll call Rob's reviews, where we'll review all these different promotions, and I know Al cannot keep up with me. That's why Rob knows all. So uh, I'm gonna have to like chime him in on some of this stuff too at the same time because yeah, I watch wrestling like 24/7, and it kind of annoys annoys my wife too. So
She'll
that's how much I watch it, and 24/7.
listen.
So,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, man. So I was going back to like what you were saying about the Alundra Blaze stuff. I mean, it says, and I don't believe that, but it says that she wrestled 333 matches.
Dang.
333 matches. And what's funny is that she was managed by my favorite, DDP,
Oh, nice. I did not know that.
uh, Paul Lee Dangerously, and someone named Spice. I guess I think that was one of the Nitro girls I remember back then. The yeah, I think that's who it was. But yeah, going back to that, going back to what you were trying to say, when she was as Medusa, she was with Paulie Dangerously in the Dangerous Alliance, along with Arn Anderson, Bobby Eaton, Larry Sabisco,
Ooh,
Rick
interesting.
Rude, and Steve Williams, Stunning Steve. So she was part of a faction as well. And but going back before that, right? Before that, she was part of the Diamond Exchange as well with DDP and Kurt Hennig, and it says Pat Tanaka. I remember Pat Tanaka. Do you remember Pat Tanaka? Pat
I don't.
Tanaka. This is my favorite. This is the one I remember the most. I think that clicks in my head now that I'm looking at it. I remember this. Do you remember Team Madness?
Team Madness. Yeah, I
Team
don't
Madness,
know.
man. Gorgeous George, Miss Madness, Randy Savage, and
Oh
Sid
yeah,
Vicious.
Macho Man. Oh shit,
Yeah,
man.
remember Macho Man had his own little crew.
Oh yeah, yeah, Macho Madness.
Yeah,
When
it
it
was
was
Team
Macho Madness.
Madness. It was Team Madness, and he had the pageant person that was Miss Madness, and
I don't.
Gorgeous George.
I
Gorgeous
don't
George
remember.
was the girl he was like in love with or something like
Yeah,
that during that time.
I don't remember much because I think that was possibly '99 and 2000. With that's when I stopped watching WCW and focused more on the WWF. Because yeah,
Yeah, got you. Like I
the Monday
said,
Night Wars were the time, man.
but like I said, it's funny here, right? We're talking about like what AEW is doing, which I love, is because they're bringing back territories again,
Yeah,
and I love that. I love that. Why does one promotion have to win when like all of them can?
yeah,
And I think that's beautiful. And I think like some of the wrestlers even said like now they're dreaming up these scenario matches where they can now have these dream matches and all this stuff.
mhm,
We can have Naito, we can have Tanahashi, we can have Okada, we can have anybody come in
yeah.
through this whole forbidden door. But what's funny about this whole forbidden door bouch
Botch.
forbidden door thing, this whole forbidden door thing is that the forbidden door thing have already started with me like back in '98 because the forbidden door for me was a WCW kid that could not really watch Raw.
Be honest, the WWF in like '97 and like '98, they did cross that because they worked with ECW, NWA, and Triple A a few times.
Well, that's what I'm. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say is like the WWF did work with other promotions and stuff, and little did
Yeah,
we know that they were also help funding ECW at the
yeah.
time as well too. So I mean, I'm not taking that away from them as well, obviously,
While
because they
WCW did work with New Japan Pro Wrestling, I know Scott Norton won the NJPW title, and
and I also think that's also the reason. I also think that's also the reason why guys like Adam Cole, baby, uh, um,
boom.
boom, and also I think that's the reason why NXT was also working as well is because I think deep in Triple H's heart he loved the local guys. He loved this indie stuff. I mean, he's a
Yeah,
wrestler, man. I mean, he knows about promotions. I mean, come on, he's also. I mean, and this is another thing that me and the Murph here hate is what we're gonna say about this on the podcast, about these terms, about how like what he was talking about, how here's an Murph being an ex Taco Bell employee going into the stripes now, trader. Uh,
yeah.
or it could also be like if he was on the Indies and he worked at Taco Cabana signing to Taco Bell.
What the one thing I don't like is when people say they don't like indie wrestling, but like I'm like, where do you think all of your favorite wrestlers came from?
I mean, let's be
AJ
real, right?
Styles, Adam Cole, Seth Rollins, they all came from the indies. They
Yeah, but
all
not like,
started from
but
somewhere.
also let's be real though, like, cause I hate this thing. I hate that term, right? Um, but don't you understand? Like, one of the wrestlers that I loved was back then was the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger, which
Yeah,
obviously he's now Sean Spears on AEW, which I think his character right now as the,
the
the
chairman.
chairman is awesome,
Oh yeah,
right? And especially having somebody like a former Four Horseman like totally. I mean, come on, can it get
yeah,
any better than that? But what I'm saying is about what he said is that in wrestling you need credibility. And so what that means is that obviously having ex WWE guys and from that shifting over to the other show, whether you're talking trash or not, you're watching.
yeah. True story.
You,
The
you know what I
way
mean?
they just got a better job. It's
They,
work.
they they not only that, but like this is one of the reasons why quick, let's just get this out right now. All right, we're gonna do this right now. Random Rob right now. All right, this is something like I was gonna say because this goes back to the where we come from. People need to know. People need to know who our favorite wrestlers and stuff like that are as well. So, on the top of your head, Al, right now, who are your top three?
Austin, The Undertaker, probably Bret Hart.
Mm, okay, okay. Also, for me, because going back to your Metamorphosis character, and we'll get into all that stuff too, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be one day where we're going to have a. Anyways, we have these fictional characters we do on the WWE 2K stuff, but that will
Yeah,
probably be another. That will probably be our Rob 2K episode. So,
yeah,
and we have many things and rivalries, and we'll talk fantasies about all that stuff and what trend kill wrestling is and stuff like that is. But going back with that being said, I find that funny, and I find that not funny. I don't know how to put it, but I find that shocking that you would you would put Bret Hart in there instead of maybe somebody like I don't know. This is me just based off of your meta character, like based off of like I would have thought it'd been like Kane or Mick Foley or somebody like that.
For me, when I did the wrestling games and created my character, I always I do Taker's moves, Austin's moves, I do the sharpshooter. You know what I mean? So my character
So
was like a
so what you're
mixture
trying
of
to tell
everything.
so what you're trying to tell me here is since we're gonna be teaching y'all peeps out there who are listening who maybe are new to wrestling, who want to get into wrestling, whatever we can do, whatever this podcast can do to get you into it, or whatever. This is what this is all about. Old school diehard fans who love not what just the old school wrestling did, but also what's happening in the new realms of stuff. How they're taking moves like armbar, or or taking like the moves like that, and they're doing stuff to it. It's almost like, to me, it's almost like going back to the metal term, where like a band covers a song, but like they make it their own. Like
Yeah.
it's their own sound, you know. But
Funny you
that's
mentioned
what.
the armbar thing because if you think about it, the list of Jericho goes back to WCW because he literally made a list of wrestling moves, 104 holds,
Wow.
1,004 holds.
Well, that's
It's a
funny
big list,
because
yeah.
now that those are your top three, and remember those top three of his his WWF wrestlers. Now mine being WCW, I got top three WCW wrestlers, and obviously that for me would be DDP, and I'll get into reasons why if you want to know. But DDP, uh, now this was hard for me because I always I didn't know who to put two or three, and I don't even know if that even matters, right? Because some days that certain wrestler is my top one, and
Yeah.
there's other. So, anyways, I'm not gonna go that route because we'll be just. I'm just overthinking shit now. Rob is knowing too much. Rob knows too much. uh, I would say Diamond Dallas Page, obviously because I'm an April Fool's baby, and I was born April 1st, and he was born, I think, April 5th, and so the whole diamond exchange, diamond, the whole thing. That's my birthstone, right? So it's just obvious. And
Yeah.
I think he's also from. No, actually, his. Now this is gonna you're gonna trip out because going with this whole heels and baby face thing. I mean, you got your beautiful dog over there, Paige,
Yeah, she's asleep.
and it's funny because my favorite wrestler is Diamond Dallas Page, and his real name is actually Paige Falkenberg, so it's Paige.
Yeah.
So so yeah. With that being said, DDP is my favorite for that, and we can we can go into details with all that stuff about the diamond cutter and like the RKO and all that stuff. There's a lot of connections there too. Also because of the fact that also funny enough, me and Randy Orton are both April 1st
Yeah.
babies, or we have the same birthday, so it's funny. You know what he's saying? You can see the tie-in between the diamond cutter and the RKO
Yeah.
and why that is. But so him, and then obviously right now the goat, who I consider the GOAT, Chris Jericho, and Rey Mysterio. Those are my three. Those are my top three.
Yeah.
Because also being as a child, I remember just man, and look who's there, Paige. She just turned. Is that a page
Hmm.
turner? She just turned her
Keep your
head. It's a
name
page
down.
turner.
My
But
dog,
going back to
ladies and gentlemen.
Paige,
Crazy.
the true baby face of this show.
Hmm.
Um, but you don't want to see my hill cat, Bast.
Fast. Fast in her glory.
Bast, Bast in her glory, because she is a goddess. And that's where Bastet comes from. She was an Egyptian goddess, and obviously, yeah. Anyways, going back to what I was saying was that like I love those three for main reasons, obviously, because DDP, he under those three alone. They were come on, Al. You can't tell me
Yeah.
you don't know any three who are better than about characters and like their merchandise, the way their shirts look, the way they're. I mean, come on, Rey Mysterio's all his colored masks, all the themes he did. I mean, this is
Oh
like
yeah.
pre Finn Balor stuff, pre that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing these different movie comic themes with his masks at WrestleMania. I mean, those are things that blew my mind. Like, obviously, those guys shifting over. That's what I think when I started getting into more of the. It's funny because, and that's also I think another reason why I love Jericho so much is that he has always been that gateway for me loving other promotions.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
because when he went over to WWF as Y2J, like obviously I'm gonna watch because
Yeah.
there's my favorite wrestler who I knew as Corazon de Leon in Triple A,
Jericho started
Triple A, yeah.
Jericho
and
started in ECW. I want to say his first American Championship win was a television title in ECW.
well, but yes, but not only that, but that's what I was trying to say. That's where he got the Corazon de Leon. He was already
Yeah.
Corazon de Leon in ECW, but also doing the AAA Mexico stuff
Yeah.
already. And then thank goodness for Conan, who is the godfather of lucha libre, and for one of the reasons why we also had the cruiserweight division, which was like the hottest thing in WCW. You know, um, so it was a good thing that we had him.
Yeah.
Uh, but like I said, but like all three of them embodied art. They all three, like I said, with DDP, dude, he was he was 35 when he started becoming a popular wrestler. I mean, like nowadays, if you think about it, which is sad, is I think that's the reason why NXT and all that stuff doesn't really exist anymore. Is that they didn't want wrestlers who were over their 30s anymore,
Yeah. Unfortunately.
and that's kind of sad. And then so like now people are looking at like, oh, so AEW gets the hand me downs or all this stuff. Like, no, dude, like you got to understand that these wrestlers are what made WWE that popular.
Yeah.
It wasn't the other way around. I mean, yeah, sure, WWE had the platform and all that stuff but in reality, it was the wrestlers that were like, it's the wrestlers. Those are the reasons why you're touring. That why you're tuning in. I was gonna say touring, but in
Botch.
reality, they are touring though.
Yeah.
They do tours. So I mean, geez. So that's what I remember about it is the '98 stuff. I mean, I was big
Yeah.
into. I remember I remember like with my grandmother, she always had the like exactly at 9 o'clock. It was coffee and snack time, and so that was the only time we could have coffee and snack time. Obviously, anything after that, you can't eat. You got to eat a little snack before 10. You can't
Yeah.
overdo it. You can't underdo it. She always believed in stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So every day at 9 o'clock, or like I either had a choice of either a pecan pie or a moon pie that were like 69 cents at our local economy store. And at that store, like I would always go to that store to fill up. And I remember there was a magazine section. So like I would always get my those. And sometimes I could get like I would get those little remember those little blue hot fries. I don't know if you remember those. I
I
mean,
don't.
damn it, Al, you work out of Stripes, you don't know this. The irony
I
of it stuff.
forget.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
But like, I remember there used to be a magazine called Wow, which was the World of Wrestling, and I remember on that cover it was Sting, it was the Crow
Mm,
Sting,
oh
and on the
yeah.
back of it they were already having fantasy matches, and I think on the back of it was like Stone Cold versus Goldberg or something like that,
Yeah.
and I remember seeing that. And that magazine was huge, man. I think you would have loved them. I wish those magazines would exist. What exists now. One of these days, I'll show you a photo or something.
Oh yeah.
Um, so one of these days, well, well, one of these days, I'm gonna be getting a Facebook page together and stuff for all this stuff, so I could share all this content. We'll share your grandpa's pictures. We'll share all the stuff that we're talking about on these episodes, just in
Oh
case
yeah.
they don't make it this way.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, with that being said, like I just wish those magazines were around because a magazine like that was like the world of wrestling, and that's also one of the reasons why I got into like other promotions too. Is like looking into
Yeah.
that magazine. It was all WCW. Like majority of that magazine obviously was all WCW, WWF, and ECW. You know, so I mean, yeah, I think I mean we can go on and on about
Oh yeah.
there's I mean I go from magazines to me. I pre-ordered WCW versus NWO Revenge
Old
for the
school.
Nintendo 64. Remember, it came in this big old box for just this small ass little cartridge.
I know one of the first wrestling games I got was a WrestleMania 2000 for the 64.
I remember that too, and I remember I think that was the game. I remember like during that time being like, "Holy hell, the graphics are awesome!"
Yeah.
and and that was
Look
also
at
the
it
first
nowadays,
time.
like, what the fuck is this?
But I think that was also the first time they also put like the Titantron videos on it and
Yeah.
stuff. You're like, yes, this is great.
I
like
actually gotta use a restroom.
little did we know. All right,
Yeah.
we'll
We're
take a
back.
little. All right. So as Al is taking a pee break there, um, like I said, we want this podcast to be about everything and anything wrestling, and it's not just about WWE. And I truly mean that. Like we both are true big wrestling fans, and that's all we love, and that's all we care about is just wrestling in general, the community, the art, like everything about it is just awesome. I mean, I can go on about it, like about the finishers, about the signatures. I can dissect literally everything that I like about it. I mean, because it truly is like comics come to life, and that's the whole idea where my character RAWb comes in, and his character metamorphosis, I like to say metamorphosis, uh, comes into play because we would always play WWE 2K19 for years now. Um, and those were our characters, and we created our own promotion called Trend Kill Wrestling, and we have a bunch of characters on there, and we have a bunch of characters that are also our friends, and that's what I want this podcast to be all about. It's just the community for wrestling fans and wrestling fans galore. Like anything that is wrestling, everything that is wrestling. This is what this podcast is going to be about. Like I said, we're going to make mistakes. There's going to be
Ah,
bouches all over the
oh yeah.
place. There's no cut. There's no this. It's unscripted. We're just going to try to make this fun, and
Oh yeah.
we want to see what you think about all this stuff too. Uh, and like I said, anything else you want to add, Al, before we end this?
I can't think of anything top of my head right now.
He's probably drunk off his ass.
Nah, just hungover. Yeah.
Alcoholic Al. Damn it, Al. But like I was saying, or like I was telling the viewers before you went on your little skimpy little popcorn match pee break, because that's what those are. That's what popcorn matches are. And again, we'll get into terms and all that stuff later on.
Oh yeah.
But um, I just, what do you think, Al? I mean, this is our first episode. We're shooting the breeze here. We're
Seeing
coming up
how it
with like
goes, testing the waters.
a bunch of ideas for segments and stuff like that. We want to
Yeah, for the
see.
future.
Yeah,
We will have
like I
guests.
said, we definitely want your input. We
Yeah,
definitely
we
want
will
that.
have guests on here.
We're gonna have
So
guests. We want to try to build interviews, do all that kinds of stuff.
oh yeah.
Um, you know, one day you will into the Rob Zone.
I
We
got
will make.
friends out that will be down to join up with us. He has friends that will be down to join up with us. I mean,
We'll give you an insight what GPTV may be.
yeah,
Um, we just want to make this fun, and the whole idea obviously is also like with the Rob is War thing is that we're also it's a play onto my name into the
yeah,
promotions. So like who knows with maybe each guest that you'll see the little icon there to your far little top right there.
it
Maybe
may
you'll see a
change.
different. It may change. It may be little Easter eggs. There may be play-ons with all our friends' names into promotions and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
definitely gonna be
yeah,
seeing that.
we're trying to build something off of this, and
See
we'll
how it
see where
goes.
it
Hopefully,
goes.
y'all like it. Like, keep watching.
Yeah, keep watching. Like I said, there's a lot of things that like I said, there's just a bunch of stuff that's going on in wrestling, and that's what I love
Yeah,
about it. And I think that's why we never
wrestling
stopped.
in general.
Yeah, like and that's the reason why we never stopped loving wrestling is because and it's funny too because what was the only sport that lasted even through this pandemic? You know,
Wrestling. The way I
wrestling.
see wrestling was there throughout the whole pandemic. What was there? fucking wrestling. We got WrestleMania during the worst times of all the worst times of all of our lives. Granted, there wasn't a crowd, but the fact we still got the fact we still got WrestleMania.
You
We
know,
got double or nothing. Like we still got wrestling.
and I'm gonna put this out there too. That WrestleMania could also go down as one of the greatest WrestleManias too, just for that purpose, just for
Yeah,
that moment, just for that memory alone, knowing that that was a pandemic era, and
yeah,
that was like, I don't know, man, that was like if you were like wrestling in front of The Walking Dead or
yeah,
something, like like it was crazy, man. Like, and I commend them because like I know a lot of people were saying like, how could you put them at risks, and how could you do all this stuff? But in reality, as us wrestling fans, I think we needed that.
yeah.
Like, I think
True
we needed.
story.
I still think we needed a way to escape reality, and that's what
That's
wrestling is all
what
about for us.
that's what I do. I do respect about Vince McMahon is that during the worst time of like all of our lives being in a pandemic, being stuck at home on lockdown and shit, he gave us fucking WrestleMania.
Yeah,
Granted, you still have to pay, but how? Of course, the man's a businessman. He needs to make his money somehow. But the fact, I feel he may have lost more money by doing it, but he still gave it to us. You know what I mean? We still got we still got WrestleMania. We still got Double or Nothing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
We still got a lot of
that's
that
what I'm
stuff.
saying. Yeah, there's a lot, and that's what I'm saying. And then also, that's also one of the big reasons why I think I love AEW a lot too, because here is an organization who like what has been promotion for like maybe like 2 years.
And survive the
Yeah,
pandemic.
I think they just had their anniversary show this past Wednesday.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and they survived a pandemic. They survived this whole cancer culture thing, and they
yeah.
also survived death. Like they survived all these three major things that
In just a short
WWE has
time they're
been.
around.
I mean, think about it that way. I think also people need to realize, like, although we're like people want to say like AEW versus WWE, I don't see it that way. They don't see it that way either. Even though there is a little like, I guess for, I mean, K-pop purposes or for image, Tony obviously will pick at them, and Vince will
Yeah,
do the same thing. But that's just business. That's just K-pop. That's
yeah,
just ripping each other. And that's just smart. But not only that is what I'm saying is that the fact that they could have gone bankrupt like the XFL did during that time, which I thought
yeah,
XFL did great. It was hot, and I was loving it. You know, but I also think, like I said, like AEW stood if they could last through that, which was a big pandemic, and we're kind of
yeah.
still going through it
Part of
in a
it.
small volume. It was
Yeah.
bigger then, but like for them to like to do that, you know what I mean?
Give them
It
props for
just shows
that.
you. Yeah, yeah,
That's hard. Surviving
yeah,
through a pandemic like that.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. And those are that to me is the reasons why I still love wrestling now. That just shows me like, all right, like
During the
wrestling.
darkest times, that wrestling was there.
I mean, not even New Japan was there, and then like
We got
all these.
WWE and AEW. As far as I know, were the two promotions that was there for its fans.
And like I said, which is mind blowing to me because AEW was still fresh and new,
Yeah,
and and they still went on. They still did it. They still found a
yeah,
way. And it's funny with the whole heels and baby faces thing too, is that I love the fact that they like their crowd was like half of their heels wrestlers and half of their baby face wrestlers. So in a way, you still had like a little crowd. You still had
yeah.
those wrestlers that they could feed off of people and stuff like that. Because let's be real, I mean, like this podcast and Rob's reactions, uh, it's all about the reactions, and I think that's what it is for wrestling, music, movies, all that stuff. We feed off of that stuff. We strive for that stuff because that's what it's all about.
Oh
Do
yeah,
you agree?
I agree.
So, with that being said, I just like I said, we want this podcast to be fun. Hopefully, y'all enjoy this. Like I said, we want to hear your
Yeah.
inputs. We want to see your comments. Uh, like this page, subscribe to this page. We will be. I got a go to at Robbins War Twitter. I got to add Robbins War Instagram. Um, Soon we'll be making a Facebook page for that. So yeah. Anything else?
Think I'm right. Yeah, just
Alrighty.
can't think.
He can't think because I think he's drunk already.
Just hungover. I got drunk last night.
But with that being said,
That's
we
why I had
hope
some
you.
coffee here, which is now all gone. Was it spiked? We don't know.
That remains to be seen. But like I said,
Yeah,
we just want this podcast to be fun, and that's what it's going to be
yeah,
about. And I mean, we can go on and on, like I said. But like I said, stay tuned. We're going to
yeah.
be having a bunch of thoughts, a bunch of opinions about all the stuff that's coming out. I mean, like I said, just to plug a few promotions that I think you should be checking out is I think you should be checking out NWA Power. I don't know if it's exactly on YouTube still. I think it is. There's sometimes it is. I know we got Cool
New
Dark.
Japan Pro Wrestling.
We got New Japan Pro Wrestling that I think now has a new TV deal with I believe it's that was that AXS TV. I think which they have. They also have NJPW Strong, which is basically like the NXT of their division, which is more basically about the young lions and the upcomers. I mean, you got MLW Fusion Alpha now that I think shows like every Mondays on YouTube. You've got Impact Wrestling on Tuesdays. Got AEW Elevation on Mondays with YouTube. AEW Dark Tuesdays. AEW Dynamite. I mean, there's just wrestling galore
Yeah,
now.
everywhere. Yeah.
I mean, everywhere,
Monday Night
everywhere. You just
Raw, Friday Night SmackDown,
Night
Tuesday
Raw,
night
Night
NXT.
SmackDown, Friday Night Rampage.
Got
I mean,
everything.
geez, all we need is maybe a Sunday Night Heat, and then
Right?
because I mean, Saturday Night Main Event, and I mean, you got the whole week is filled out. I mean, you even got well. Speaking of Saturdays, you got also got Ring of Honor, which I think a lot of people overlook and they don't really watch as much. But there's a lot of things that are happening there that are going on. That is really good. I mean, Impact Wrestling. If you're not familiar with it, with the whole Forbidden Door
The
stuff,
OTNA.
I think there's a lot of things that are going to be going on. The
Oh
OTNA
yeah.
exactly. Now that I don't know if you heard this out. Speaking of like with reviews and rumors for Raw, the Inspiration is going to make their debut on Impact, which we all know as the Iconics. They're going to be on Impact now.
Oh nice.
We got EC3 on Ring of Honor. We got big wrestlers everywhere. I mean,
Oh
there's
yeah.
rumors. There's also rumors of maybe even Bray Wyatt going to Impact and helping that brand out. I can
That'd
see
be
that.
awesome.
I mean, you got Decay there. You got someone like Crazy Steve, who's a clown. You got Abyss. You got weird characters like that. And I was starting to think about that for a while. I was like, you know what? The whole if he was to do this weird little thing like a funhouse thing or like a this whole Code of Wyndham thing, I think that would work out. Honestly, to be honest, I would like him to go to Ring of Honor because the Righteous is there and like there's a bunch of stuff going on. Uh, but as you can see, it looks like Al is detuned there, disconnected there. So with that being said, I'm Rob,
I'm Murph or the Murph.
and this is the podcast with the most attitude. Rob is War.
War.